This morning, America's First News starts right after this. Did you know that right now, Geico is offering an extra 15% credit on car, motorcycle, and RV policies? That's 15% on top of what Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th. Visit geico.com to learn more.
From Compass Media Networks, this is America's First News. This morning, with your host, Gordon Deal.
Debate night in Cleveland. Good morning, I'm Gordon Deal, along with Jennifer Kashenka on this Tuesday, September 29. Thanks for being with us, and here's what we have for you this hour.
President Trump and challenger Joe Biden square off tonight in the first debate of the general election campaign. Hear how each side is approaching it.
House Democrats are out with a coronavirus relief bill that includes more stimulus checks and restores supplemental unemployment benefits.
In sports, the baseball playoffs begin today with an unprecedented 16 teams, and the Tampa Bay Lightning captured the Stanley Cup.
And with virtual learning again a popular school strategy this semester, thousands of kids have not shown up.
A lot of kids just haven't shown up to school, particularly kindergarten students, but we are missing thousands of kids. And a lot of districts aren't even sure if we're going to be able to see these kids again until schools finally open in person and we get them back into a classroom.
Erin Richards at USA Today on America's missing students amid COVID and online school. It seems the Biden campaign has fresh material ahead of tonight's first presidential debate. Based on a New York Times report, Joe Biden's campaign is accusing President Trump of gaming the system to avoid paying his fair share of taxes. The former vice president's campaign has released a video listing the thousands of dollars in income tax typically paid by an elementary school teacher and firefighter, before contrasting Mr. Trump's reported $750 he paid in 2017. The president, as you know, has dismissed the report as fake news. Yesterday, he tweeted that he had paid many millions of dollars in taxes. Meanwhile, heightened security measures are in place. Cleveland Police Chief Calvin Williams.
Our state, federal, local, county partners have worked tirelessly for the last month and a half to make sure that this thing comes off right, to make sure that we have the proper assets in place to prevent things from happening.
Local, state, and federal law enforcement officers will be on the ground to help keep the peace outside as the debate takes place inside. Well, in what some consider the most important debate of the general election season, since so many voters have begun mail-in voting already, President Trump faces off against Joe Biden in Cleveland tonight. The president has played down the need for debate preparation, while Mr. Biden has said he will be a, quote, fact checker on the floor. Here's a preview of what to expect from Ken Thomas, national political reporter at the Wall Street Journal. Ken, what are sources telling you?
Joe Biden has been preparing for months, really, since he sewed up the nomination in the spring. More recently, he has had formal debate practice sessions in the last few days, but he has a team who have helped him over the years for debates, and he's pretty well practiced. This is probably close to his more than about 3 dozen debates, either on a presidential or vice presidential stage. But the president, as far as we can tell, is not really doing traditional debate prep. I think they've done a lot of question and answer sessions with him privately. They've prepared him in other ways, but I think the president will say basically his day job as the president prepares him for a debate. So we're going to see that bear out, how, whether the preparation that Biden makes in advance helps him versus the president, or if the president, having done this before, being president every day, if that gives him an advantage.
It's interesting because him saying that makes me think, well, he debates with the media on a fairly frequent basis. That would strike me, at least in some ways, as a kind of prep.
Right, and we've seen the president do these daily news briefings. He's probably out in the public a lot more than Joe Biden has. Joe Biden has taken some questions he did yesterday after a speech on the Supreme Court in Delaware. But I think the president would point to this sort of back and forth that he has with the media as pretty good preparation.
Who goes on the attack? Will there be such a thing?
The expectation is that Biden wants to try to reassure voters who are looking his way and to try to present a vision of where he would take the country, how he would try to help the country move forward from the pandemic. And he's in a place right now, according to the polls, where he needs to be more of a reassuring figure as opposed to someone who shakes up the debate. The president is trailing, and the expectation is that he is going to try to rattle Joe Biden and show to voters that Biden is not ready and wouldn't be able to handle the pressures of the job. I mean, one thing you hear is that the president is likely to bring up Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, and raise questions about some of the business dealings that Hunter Biden had overseas.
We're speaking with Ken Thomas, national political reporter at the Wall Street Journal. His piece is called "Trump and Biden Prepare for Debate on Coronavirus and Supreme Court Fight." There has to be a concern, I guess, in Mr. Biden's camp about these incomplete thoughts that we've seen sometimes.
So Biden occasionally has struggled in these debates, but I think the distinction that his team will make is that he tends to be better in these one-on-one debates than in these sort of larger free-for-all group debates.
It's Chris Wallace from Fox who's moderating. Mr. Biden, I don't think, has been on Fox to do any kind of interviews. Will he face a different set of questions than, say, from the hosts he's been on with on some of these other cable networks?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, the Chris Wallace is known as a very strong moderator. He's done this before. He conducted a pretty tough interview with the president in the last few months. They've also put out, the different segments that they're going to have, during the debate. There'll be like 15-minute segments. It's going to get into things like the candidates' records, the coronavirus, the economy, race, the racial unrest that we've seen, election integrity. So I think both sides have a good sense of where these questions will be coming from and the general direction.
Thanks, Ken. Ken Thomas, national political reporter at the Wall Street Journal. The debate tonight begins at 9 p.m. and is physically taking place at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland. It'll run for 90 minutes without commercials. You can watch it on all the broadcast networks and the most popular cable channels, YouTube as well. Some news sites like the Wall Street Journal will also stream it. House Democrats have introduced a $2.2 trillion coronavirus relief package that would restore $600 in weekly jobless benefits. This morning's Mike Gavin has details on the last-ditch effort unveiled last evening to restore stalled talks with the White House.
There's money for restaurants, airlines, child care centers, and performance venues, as well as funding for the Postal Service. It would also send another round of $1,200 stimulus checks to Americans, plus $500 per dependent. And it would renew the $600 in supplemental employment aid that expired in July. The package would also extend the Paycheck Protection Program. Democrats also included $436 billion for state and local governments. A vote could come later this week. Gordon.
Thanks, Mike. Any legislation would face immediate hurdles in the Republican-controlled Senate, where many in the GOP have resisted a large new round of deficit spending and expressed more confidence that the economy is recovering. Do business more powerfully during Dell's semi-annual sale. Save up to 45% on Dell computers and servers with Intel Core processors. Also save on electronics and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call 877-ASK-DELL to talk to a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find just the right tech. That's 877-ASK-DELL or visit Dell.com/businessdeals.
When it comes to mobility, Michigan is making what the rest of the world hasn't even thought of yet. Our state is home to 2 world-class autonomous vehicle testing sites, and we're first in the U.S. for mobility-related patents. With over 500 miles of roadway equipped for connected vehicle testing, it's no wonder that everyone is moving to where it all started. So if you're ready to move into the future with your mobility business, visit planetm.com/pure-opportunity.
Thanks for being with us. Another psychological milestone for the coronavirus. The reported death toll from the pandemic reached 1 million worldwide yesterday. COVID-19, the disease caused by the virus, is killing on average more than 700 people a day in the U.S., which leads the world in deaths. More than 205,000 Americans have died. President Trump spoke yesterday in the Rose Garden.
100 million rapid point-of-care tests will be given to states and territories to support efforts to reopen their economies and schools immediately and fast as they can.
Data collected by Johns Hopkins University show that the outbreak has been even more deadly as a percentage of cases in some other countries. For example, more than 10% of cases in Mexico have ended in death. Remember that reporting and testing systems vary around the world. In Brazil, more than 140,000 people have died. In India, the virus continues to kill, on average, nearly 1,000 people a day. It's 20 minutes after the hour on This Morning. Here's Jennifer Kushenka.
And now, the three big things you need to know. Number one.
Tens of thousands of Californians are fleeing their homes in the Napa and Sonoma wine regions in the face of wildfires, as a new blaze in the north of the state killed 3 people. Some of Napa Valley's best-known vineyards have been consumed by an out-of-control blaze that raced through 35,000 acres. Jason Jones of the Sonoma County Fire District says firefighters have turned to controlled burns to try to get ahead of roaring flames.
The term using fire to fight fire, we have to do that a lot, especially when we have the winds and the conditions that we've been dealing with.
The inferno is threatening communities still reeling from devastating wildfires in 2017 when 44 people died.
Number two.
House Democrats have unveiled a scaled-back $2.2 trillion aid measure in an attempt to boost long-stalled talks on COVID-19 relief, though there was no sign of progress in continuing negotiations between House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. The latest Democratic measure would revive a $600 per week pandemic jobless benefit and send a second round of $1,200 direct payments to most individuals.
Number three.
Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron will release the recording from the grand jury proceedings connected to the Breonna Taylor investigation tomorrow. The development comes after an unidentified juror filed a court motion asking to make the details public. Protests erupted in Louisville and several other cities following the announcement last week that the grand jury would not bring murder charges against 3 police officers involved in the March 13th shooting of Taylor in her home during the execution of a search warrant. The Attorney General will share the information on a judge's order despite concerns the release could compromise an ongoing investigation. President Trump and Democrat Joe Biden face off in their first general election debate tonight. The debate comes just 5 weeks before Election Day and with voting already underway in some key battleground states.
2nd and 9. Mahomes looking for Tyreek Hill, and he brings it down for the touchdown.
Steve Levy with a call on ESPN as Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs got the best of Lamar Jackson and the Ravens last night, winning 34-20. Mahomes has reached 10,000 passing yards in 34 games, the fastest in NFL history. And Jackson struggled last night with only 97 yards through the air.
I think the Ravens were ready to show off Lamar Jackson, ready to prove that they're on level with the Chiefs.
Didn't quite work out that way.
Wah, wah. Thanks, Jen. There are 2 kinds of small business owners: old schoolers who need to physically go to a bank and get charged unnecessary fees, and then there's you. For you, there's Aslo, a free business checking account with invoicing, bill pay, and money transfers, plus no minimum balance, no fees, and no minimum deposit. You'll never get charged maintenance or overdraft fees or have to navigate a phone system that wastes your time. Just go to azlo.com/deal and apply in as little as 10 minutes, not the days or weeks it can take a walk-in branch. And with Aslo's free instant funding feature, you can deposit up to $1,000 and access it instantly. That's one of the reasons Money Magazine called them the best business banking option for freelancers and entrepreneurs. Sign up right now with no minimum deposit at aslo.com/deal and get a free copy of Aslo's Small Business Starter Guide, spelled azlo.com/deal, and sign up with a free Small Business Starter Guide and no minimum deposit. aslo.com/deal. Aslo is owned by BBVA USA, member FDIC. Thanks for being with us. The presidential election is on the horizon, and the mass of expected mail-in ballots could prolong the wait for a final result, with many states not beginning to count absentee votes till the polls close. Whoever wins, many of America's affluent households and the experts who advise them are not waiting. Here's what they're up to from Andrew Keshner, personal finance reporter at MarketWatch. Andy, what are you hearing?
First and foremost, I'm hearing that affluent Americans are definitely at least gaming out the scenario. They're at least getting themselves ready. They see the polls. It's not election day, but they're not waiting. And there's a variety of ways. But first and foremost, they are taking action.
All right. Their concern of the wealthiest, at least, is that capital gains taxes are going